Burrell says 15,000 more will be trained by year's end.
This war requires a constant adaptation to the modalities of the war. The training has to be shortened and adapted to the Ukrainian needs.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian commanders have told the Associated Press they blame some inexperienced fighters for losing ground to Russia. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Donald Trump now says he will vote no on a Florida ballot measure that would repeal the state's 6-week abortion ban, a day after he seemed to indicate he would vote in favor of the measure. Trump said in an interview Friday with Fox News Channel that he'll be voting no because he thinks Democrats are extreme on abortion. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 228 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
Stocks end the week on a strong note.
Stocks on Wall Street finished broadly higher as the market closed out its fourth straight winning month with solid gains. The S&P 500 rose 1% Friday to finish August with a gain of 2.3%. The Nasdaq added 1.1%, and the Dow rose 0.6%, setting another all-time high. The market rallied after a government report showed that inflation remained low in July. That keeps the Federal Reserve on track to cut rates next month for the first time in more than 4 years. Marvell Technology climbed 9.2% after hitting Wall Street's sales and profit targets. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note rose to 3.92%. This is Alex Vega.
A new report from Columbia University's Anti-Semitism Task Force describes a hostile climate for Jewish and Israeli students at the New York City institution during the last school year. The report comes days before the start of a new school year. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number 1.
It's a Friday night of high school football across South Carolina, and this is the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard with Phil Kornblut and David Shelton. We've got you covered with all the scores from tonight, plus game reports and coaches' interviews. The High School Scoreboard is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Let's go to the Scoreboard Studios in Columbia. Here's Phil Kornblut.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This is officially week number 1 for the high school football season in South Carolina for the high school league teams. So that means this is the second Friday night of the season for them, the third Friday night of the season for the Skeeza team. So Skeeza is going to be a week ahead of high school league teams all season because obviously they started a week early. We're not in Columbia tonight. We're in Atlanta for the Clemson and Georgia football game tomorrow afternoon. So we're broadcasting from our Atlanta studios, you could say. We have Josh Cohen back at our studios in downtown Colatown, sporting the Gator look tonight once again. Okay, we have many scores, many finals already, and a lot of in-progress scores to report to you. David Shelton will join us probably around 10:30. He's at that Somerville game tonight down in the Low Country, so he'll be joining us around 10:30. Hopefully we'll have a good number of reporters checking in with us to give us eyewitness accounts of their games, and perhaps we'll grab a coach or two before the night is over. But let's take a look at the scores that are showing up on ScoreStream. ScoreStream has become our go-to source for scores this season, and they do a good job. So let's tell you what they have, and then we'll be updating these as the 2 hours move on tonight. So we begin Atlantic Collegiate defeating Johnsonville 7-6, and Whitmire a winner over Spartanburg Christian 30-21. Ben Lippen in the third quarter leading Trinity Collegiate 13-0. In the fourth quarter, it's Crescent on top of Palmetto 21-18. You know, some of these games might have started a little bit later than normal because of the heat. I know that Lou Bajak from the state informed us that he would be running late tonight because his game that he's covering tonight, which is the Chapin AC Flora game, that kickoff time was pushed back to 8 o'clock because of the heat and humidity. Had to wait for it to reach a certain level, decrease to a certain level before they could safely play. So some of these games might run a little bit longer tonight. Dorman, they can only hope that this game gets over as soon as possible. The Cavaliers are being blasted tonight by Grayson out of Loganville, Georgia. Grayson, of course, one of the top high school programs in the country every year, and they are leading Dorman 53-0 as they play in the fourth quarter. Branchville and C.A. Johnson had a very early score there of 6-6. Richard Wynn defeats Newberry Academy 46-6. Early score, Dillon Christian and Lee Academy. Yeah, I guess it'd be Lee Academy. Dillon Christian and Lee Academy, 7-7. Fourth quarter, Wilson Hall, 28-9 over Northside Christian. And a final, Hammond defeats Pinewood Prep, 48-14. Another final for you. Another final. As soon as the advertisement moves from my screen. Nothing wrong with advertisement, don't get me wrong, but it was blocking my view. It was Jefferson Davis over Cathedral, 28-26. Northwood has beaten First Baptist 33-0. Baptist Hill knocks off Hardyville 15-0. In the fourth quarter, Louisville on top of Hunter Kiner Tyler 44-16. Hannah Pamplico gets a win tonight over Waccamaw 32-27. Orangeburg Wilkinson runs it up big on Hemingway 56-0. And Cross defeats North Charleston 48-12. In the fourth quarter, Dixie, looking to go to 2-0, is leading Fox Creek 34-24. In the third quarter, Marion and Latta locked up in a defensive battle. Swamp Foxes lead the Vikings 8-7. Last score we had there, third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Timberland clinging to a 26-22 lead on Lake City. Hampton County, no trouble with Allendale Fairfax tonight, 33-0 that final. Blackville Hilda defeats Edisto 41-6. Fairfield Central big over Union County 52-6. Eau Claire defeats Bethune-Bowman 34-18. In the fourth quarter, Chapman and St. Joseph's, they are tied at 21. In the fourth quarter, Abbeville has a 33-21 lead on Powdersville. Third quarter score, Keenan, which has gone through a coaching change early in the season, or actually coming out of the summer, is leading Pendleton 8-6. Saluda was a big winner over Ridge Spring Monetta tonight, 42-0. In the fourth quarter, Columbia Caps lead Pillion 35-14. A final, 96-41, Ware Shoals 30. Another final, Batesburg Leesville 50, Wagner Sally 0. Another final, West Florence defeats Myrtle Beach tonight. Bouncing back from their close loss to South Florence last week, West Florence downs Myrtle Beach 33-22. First half score, Lucy Beckham all over Philip Simmons, 35-3. In the third, Bluffton leading Andrew Jackson 35-13. Bishop England down St. John's 56-0. Another final, Greenwood 37, Beaufort 18. Another final, how about Darlington? The Darlington Falcons. We talked about them on Sports Talk tonight, about the improvement that they are having. And they defeat North Myrtle Beach tonight 27-21. So they go to 2-0 on the season. Great start for Darlington. Gilbert is leading Wilson. Third quarter, 21-18. Third quarter, Crestwood with a 28-22 lead on Richland Northeast. A final, Dreer defeats Cardinal Newman 33-13. In the fourth quarter, Camden on top of Lugoff Elgin 31-13. Walhalla defeats Pickens tonight 49-16. Big win for the Razorbacks. In the fourth quarter, Belton Honeypath with a 37-7 lead on Greer. Tough start to the season for the Greer Yellow Jackets because they were beaten badly last weekend. Landrum in the fourth quarter leads Berea 39-6. In the third quarter, Wren over Easley 41-7. Third quarter, Liberty 21, Southside 7. A final, Clinton bounces back from its loss to Woodruff last week and defeats Lawrence 35-8. All right, come on. Somebody's got a very bad sense of humor on the score stream. This is why sometimes I have to look at these scores with a wary eye. I mean, I don't even want to mention this because I just know it's not right. I just know it's not correct. Should I mention it anyway? Should I? This cannot be right. Obviously, it's not right.
Let's hear it.
Well, somebody posted on here, Travelers Rest 131 and Emerald 3.
It's got to be right. There's no way it's not.
131-3. Let me think for a second. At 7 points per touchdown, 131 points, you would have to score 17 touchdowns. How many? 749, 7 was that's 119. You have to score about 18 touchdowns to get to 131 or so in that neighborhood. That ain't right. That ain't not even funny to post an erroneous score like that. May River in the fourth quarter leading West Ashley 28-21. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Other scores. Fourth quarter, Hanahan 20, Wando 17. Final, Blue Ridge 21, Wade Hampton 14. In the third quarter, White Knoll leading Sumter. Well, now I have an update on that. We have an update on that courtesy of Reggie Anderson of News 19 in Columbia, who lets us know that White Knoll led Sumter 26-6, and then Sumter rallied to tie it at 33, and they're going to overtime. So 33-33 overtime in that game. All right. Let's see what else we got here. North Charleston and Cross. Cross with the 48-12 lead on North Charleston. Is that a victory? Is that a final? That's actually a final. Cross over North Charleston, 48-12. And let's see here. I think we have run through all the scores. Nope. There's a few more here I'm just seeing. Hang on a second. Let's back it up here. There's a few more that are coming in. Somerville. Somerville looks good, leading South Florence 45-20. That's in the fourth quarter. Big offensive night for Somerville. Aner beats St. James 51-34. Lower Richland over Spring Valley 41-7. Dillon knocks off Socastee 27-7. Riverside leads Greenville 28-19. That's in the fourth quarter. River Bluff on top of Brooklyn Casey 27-14. That's in the fourth quarter. Northwestern comes to Blythewood and defeats Ridgeview 45-27. They go to 2-0. Lexington leading North Augusta fourth quarter 20-7. Irmo on top of Burns third quarter 35-19. Fort Dorchester edges Goose Creek 21-20 up in Spartanburg. Third quarter, Dutch Fork is leading Spartanburg 21-7. And Loris big over Conway in the fourth quarter 33-0. Only in the second quarter we talked about this game being delayed. AC Flora leading Chapin 28-21. Fourth quarter, Carolina Forest and Hartsville are tied at 27. In the fourth, Blythewood 34, Midland Valley 7. A final, Ashley Ridge over Cane Bay 42-19. Woodmont leading Seneca third quarter 14-10. Third quarter, Boiling Springs over Malden 31-12. In the fourth quarter, Gaffney 27, J.O. Man 20. In the fourth quarter, Hillcrest 41, Clover 20. Final, Lakeside of Georgia defeats South Aiken 28-19. Final, Baylor of Chattanooga, coached by Eric Kimry, all over Gray Collegiate 42-7. Final, East Clarendon defeats Ridgeland 32-14. There you go. It's what we have on the scoreboard to this moment. And we're getting another final just in. Thank you, BB. Andrews beats Georgetown tonight 38-10. 38-10. Andrews over Georgetown. Okay, we'll go to our opening break of the program and to get more scores updated for you and come back with that. Start to line up some reports as well. As games are wrapping up, reporters will be checking in and maybe catch some coaches a little bit later on. David Shelton will join us 10:30-ish or so to start giving us his analysis of tonight's results. This is the High School Scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Back in just a moment.
Founders Federal Credit Union believes in empowering future generations, helping to provide our youth a smart start as they financial. Discover Smart Start by Founders. Start off with Smart Start savings with a low minimum balance of just $5. Teach responsible spending with a free debit card, text alerts, and no minimum balance. Jumpstart a lifetime of saving and investing with a Smart Start 12-month certificate featuring flexible deposits. Start with just $100 and add more deposits at any time. Finally, dive in deeper with fun educational resources. Founders is excited to team up with you with resources and support to give our youth a smart start towards a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill, big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with the family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
We are back on the high school football scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. What a game, Sumter and White Knoll. Reggie Anderson of News 19 in Columbia sharing with us that the game went into overtime and a field goal by Sumter in the second overtime. After forcing an interception, Gamecocks kick a field goal. They win it 43-40. Sumter over White Knoll. What a game. 43-40. Let's go to the phones and to our great reporters standing out in the fields tonight, or up in the booth, as the case may be sometime. But standing on the sideline for Dorman tonight, Justin Mathis down in Loganville, Georgia. Had to be a long night on that sideline, Justin, because Grayson was just way too much for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, yes, Phil. It was just one of those nights. Every team has them, and unfortunately tonight it was that for the Cavaliers. I mean, Grayson is as heralded as they get all the credit. They deserve all the credit because they are loaded. That might be one of the best teams I've ever seen. 13 years of covering high school football. So, I mean, they have 13 D1 prospects, and goodness, they converted on a couple of short fields early in that first half, but there were some bright spots for the Cavaliers. Contavious Anderson, 10 total tackles, and Dorman pitched a shutout in the second half. And now you got to bless this one and get ready for your final non-region game at Greenwood next week. So
they were down 53-0 at halftime?
Yes, sir. 53-0 at halftime. Yes, sir. Cavaliers shut them out in the second half. You know, credit to the defense. The guys didn't quit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's things you can take from this game, you can learn from, flush it, and then move on to Greenwood.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's all you can do. Real quick before we let you go, in looking at this Grayson team, what did they – obviously they showed you a lot, but in comparison to what Dorman's got, like where did they have the edge? Obviously, mostly every category, I would say, but in particular, what stood out to you in terms of the advantages they had?
I would just say, just overall speed. I mean, Dorman tried to run up the middle. Boom, they were right. It's like they were right there. Then Dorman tries to go around the edge. Boom, Grayson was right there. I mean, it's just unreal. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. That's a really good team, Grayson, and they are ranked very high for a reason. So, I mean, goodness.
Well, they've been good for a long time, my man. They put out a lot of major prospects. They got several major prospects on that team that you face tonight. Guys are going to be playing at the highest collegiate level next year. So,
yes, sir, including, I think, one for Georgia and one for Texas.
Yep, and another one who's committed to Florida. Big old lineman committed to Florida right now. So, yeah, they're a loaded football team. That's a big-time program, of course. Well, have a good trip back to back to Spartanburg, and we'll catch you next week. Greenwood, we'll see what happens there. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Headed down to J.W. Babb Stadium next Friday night.
Okay. Thank you so much, Justin. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil. Be blessed.
Have a good night. Thank you. You too, buddy. Okay. Big loss there for Dorman. I didn't realize they were down 53-0 at halftime. In other words, Grayson must have scored on every possession in that first half, and Dorman just had no answer. All right, we thank Justin for the report there. Let's go to we have a hot call. This is what we call a hot call. Billy Baker, who was on the IR last week, back healthy and on the sidelines, and he's over at Somerville tonight. Somerville and South Florence. And what you got, Billy? Hot call.
Well, Phil, it's 45-20 Somerville. I think it's actually 46. I didn't think the kid missed the PAT, but the scoreboard says 45-20. Somerville came at South Florence from all directions on sweeps, up the gut plays. Cummings had a great night passing, probably somewhere around 13 for 19 180 yards. Keyshawn Washington rushed for 91 yards. He scored twice on pass plays, and Javon Ribbons was 12 carries for 74 yards. I'm trying to get Ian. He's talking to David, actually. If you'll give us a second. I'll tell you this. The Sellers kid from South Florence probably had 12 catches for about 120 yards. The Sellers kid is going to be a good receiver at South Carolina. He can really catch the ball. Probably one of the plays of the game was Jaden Cummins, a quarterback, on their last touchdown was basically, I thought he was sacked. He stumbled up and threw the ball sidearmed, and a kid went 50 yards for a touchdown pass. Outstanding play. But I want to give you Ian Rafferty live from the field. One of the bigger wins here at home. Ian? All right.
Thank you, Billy.
He's getting hugged up a little bit. Hang on 1 second.
Don't want to interfere with that. Never get in the way of a hug.
Coach Rafferty.
We always say here on the scoreboard.
Statewide Radio, Phil Kornblith.
Stay out of the way of the
Statewide.
hugs. And toll free.
Phil.
Coach, congratulations. Heck of a win.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I tell you, I mean, this says something about your team because you beat a really good team. So, and it looks like you had kind of that complete performance, some offense, defense, the whole thing.
We did. You know, our kids played really hard tonight. Offensively, we were really clicking tonight. We made some big-time plays and some big-time moments. And, you know, our defense kind of grew up a little bit. South Florence is a good football team. This is like I just told David Shelton. People got to realize now they had the top 3 running backs out tonight. So they're good. They can match us, size, speed, strength. But I'm happy with the way we performed. You know, offense, defense, special teams is a good night.
Well, I know you had a shortened game last week that goes down as a W for you. You were leading at halftime. You win this game in all 4 quarters, so you're off to a 2-0 start. You couldn't ask for much more from your guys after 2 games, I guess.
No, really can't. You know, I was kind of panicking about this one a little bit. We didn't practice real good on Monday, but our coaches did a really good job, kind of cranked it up on them Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's good to get this one. You know, we got a tough road to go. You know, we got Berkeley next week. They're vastly improved. So we're going to have our hands full again next week, but it's always good to be 2-0.
It beats the alternative, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Definitely does.
Hey, we thank you. Congratulations once again. I'm sure we'll talk to you again this season. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Phil. Always good talking to you.
You too, Ian. Thank you very much. Ian Rafferty, coach at Summerville. And nice win at home for the Green Wave. 45-20 over a very good South Florence team. Didn't realize that the Bruins were down 3 running backs, so obviously they weren't at their full strength. And they're not going anywhere. They're going to be a factor all season long. But good win for Summerville. Thank you, Billy Baker, for getting to us. We'll be back after the break.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every day, 7 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
This is Fran Halloran, the Money Coach. Grow with the Point as we build on 10 incredible years of community local radio. We've built an environment where our listeners are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
Do you dance badly or hug in public? That's okay. You don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent. Thousands of teens in Florida would love to put up with you. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit adoptuskids.org for more information. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
With SRN News, I'm Tasha Stevens. A Gold Star mom is defending President Trump over a Democrat-created Arlington National Cemetery controversy. President Trump was criticized by Democrats for taking video at the site, But Kelly Hoover says it was the right thing to do. Hoover said she invited Trump, adding that her son was murdered under the Biden-Harris administration. Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover was killed during the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Neither Biden nor Harris attended the ceremony to honor those who were killed. Authorities are investigating after an Arizona woman was found dead at her job. Police say Denise Prudhomme clocked into work at the Wells Fargo corporate office last Friday and wasn't found until 4 days later. Security discovered her body on Tuesday in her cubicle after she never clocked out of work. This is SRN News.
This is Ian with AccuClean. Regular carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning isn't just about keeping them looking beautiful and smelling fresh. It can also help to extend their life, which in turn saves money in the long run. Check out AccuClean today for our other services, such as mattress sanitation, odor and enzyme treatments, and leather cleaning and conditioning. Call AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 for carpet cleaning needs and more. Once again, that's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. I'll see you soon.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Walmart posting its best month since 2014. Shares of the retail giant soaring nearly 13% in August, easily beating other discount chain competitors. Intel shares rallying Friday amid reports that the semiconductor company is considering options for its business that could include a merger or splitting its chip business from its manufacturing. Telecommunications giant Nokia denying a report that it was selling its mobile networks business, with Samsung Electronics being one of the initial buyers. Stocks ending Friday on a positive note, just in time for the long Labor Day weekend. The Dow finishing up 228 points, S&P 500 up 56, and the Nasdaq up 197. And that's your Fox Business Report. I'm Laura Cantor, invested in you.
Interesting people are talking to Will Kane.
I said, what do I call you? I call you Dwayne. I call you The Rock. He said, now that I own it, I can call you The Rock.
Yes, I own it now. You can call me The Rock.
Our next guest needs no introduction. It is Dr. Jordan Peters, my old friend and frenemy, Stephen A. Smith.
What is going on here? I see the Will Kane show in the background. I see the microphone.
Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on FoxNews.com. And get the 5 days a week at FoxNewsPodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite.
Summer brings a little bit of everything. Vacations, cookouts, hurricanes, bad weather, and yeah, fly-by-night storm chasers beating on your door. But fear not, it also brings emails, like the one Bergen Roofing got from Stephen and Wanda. Quote, I can't say enough good things about our experience with your company and staff for our roofing needs. The professional, punctual, and polite staff that you sent to our home in Lexington for the installation of a new roof made us realize we made the right choice selecting Bergen Roofing. The crew always made certain before they left for the day the lawn was cleaned up, and when the job was complete, your staff made certain our lawn was cleaned up thoroughly to our satisfaction. We would highly recommend and would gladly serve as a reference for your company. Our new roof looks great. We're so glad we selected Bergen Roofing for our new roof installation. Friends, take it from your neighbors, like Stephen and Wanda. When I talk about Bergen Roofing being your neighborhood roofer, they truly are. If you find yourself in need of a roofer, and Bergen hopes you don't, but if you do, call Bergen Roofing today, 798-ROOF. That's 798-ROOF.
The Founders Federal High School Scoreboard rolls on. We've got more scores to update along with reports and interviews. Now, back to Phil and David on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Good to have you with us on this Friday night across the state of South Carolina as we keep up with all the high school football scores as they go final and as they make their way through the second half. Billy Baker got back to us to update that Summerville score. It was a final score of 46-20, 45-20. The extra point must have counted there at the very end. Billy wasn't sure. He got back to us to confirm 46-20, that final score. Give you a couple of other final scores. And if we repeat anything, bear with us. Patrick Henry, 42, Clarendon Hall, 10. And Calhoun Academy over Greenwood Christian, 28-14. Hilton Head Christian, 34. Bethesda, 14. Northwood, 33. First Baptist, nothing. And just trying to pull out some of the fresh scores here. Lamar over Green Sea Floyds, 58-14. And Hannah Pamplico hangs on to beat Waccamaw, 32-27. Also final, looking for another final here. Let's see. Lake City defeats Timberland, 28-26. Well Branch over Hardyville, 42-0. And looking for more. Newberry defeats Mid Carolina, 43-0. And we'll give you one more. Eau Claire, a winner over Bethune-Bowman, 34-18. We'll continue to update the finals as they come in. Asheville School over Christ Church, 42-0. And Saluda over Rich Spring Monetta, 42-0. 96-41, Ware Shoals 30. Batesburg Leesville 50, Wagner Sally nothing. Also final, West Florence beats Myrtle Beach 33-22. And Bluffton over Andrew Jackson 35-13. Bishop England 56 and St. John's nothing. Greenwood beats Beaufort on the road tonight 37-18. Westwood over Lakewood 35-0. We told you earlier, Darlington over North Myrtle Beach, 27-21. And looking for more finals here. Dreer, 33. Cardinal Newman, 13. Camden, a winner over Lugoff Elgin tonight. Neighborhood rivalry there, 31-13. Walhalla over Pickens, 49-16. Belton Honeypath finishes off Greer, 37-7. Another final, Wren over Easley, 55-7. And Clinton over Lawrence, 35-8. May River, 28. West Ashley, 21. Hanahan, 20. Wando, 17. Blue Ridge over Wade Hampton, 21-14. And let's see here. That's the final here. Ainer, 51. St. James, 34. Lower Richland, 41. Spring Valley, 7. Dillon has defeated Socastee 27-7. Another final, Northwestern 45, Ridgeview 27. And it's gone final, Irmo over Burns 35-27. Another big win for the Yellow Jackets, this one on the road. And Fort Dorchester edges Goose Creek 21-20. And still waiting on the final of Dutch Fork and Spartanburg 24-7. Silver Foxes up on the Vikings there in the fourth quarter. And Carolina Forest and Hartsville 27-27, last update we had. Blythewood defeats Mid Carolina 34-7. Ashley Ridge over Cane Bay 42-29. And Boiling Springs tops Malden tonight 31-12. This is a great ball game. In the fourth quarter, it's Gaffney 34, J.L. Mann 33. Hillcrest over Clover 55-20. Porter Gould beats Savannah Country Day 24-3. Oceanside Collegiate. Can't wait for David to talk about this one. This is a big win. They beat Calvary Day 16-15. This is the first game after their coach resigned after they lost their opener last week, and they beat Calvary Day 16-15. And Lakeside over South Aiken. It's Lakeside of Georgia, 28-19. East Clarendon 32, Ridgeland 14. And Blythewood over Midland Valley, 42-12. And last night, Winter Park of Florida beat Berkeley 19-14. Also last night, Whitmire over Spartanburg Christian 30-21. And last night, Barnwell beat Wilson Elko 41-0. And Daniel beat Stratford 52-36. And that's it. That's it. I think that's it. That is it. So with that, let's go to David Shelton as he gives us a phone call here, or another final here, by the way. Let me find the correct identification here. Give me just a second because I'm just having this text to me. It is the, well, hang on a second. Look on my score sheet here. Better to find it this way. It was Mountain View. Mountain View, that new school up in the Spartanburg area, and they won their game tonight 49-7. So they continued to roll. They defeated Southside Christian 49-7 tonight. So Mountain View 49, Southside Christian 7. With that, welcome in David Shelton, High School Sports Report, Charleston Post and Courier. Well, we just had Ian Rafferty on from down in Somerville along with Billy Baker. Pretty impressive win tonight that you saw with the Green Wave.
Yeah, what I saw was, one, they've got an excellent quarterback. I mean, I know there are some great quarterbacks, but man, this kid is just solid as a rock. You can't sack him because he gets rid of the ball so quick, and he's got so many weapons that he can toss it to, flip it to. He doesn't throw the ball 45 yards downfield, but he ends up with a lot of 45-yard passes because he gets it out to his receivers quick, and he's got some dudes. That Jaden Kelly Murray, sophomore, he is something else. He is going to be a highly recruited football player. And but they've got an H-back slot, running back. Well, I don't know what they call him, but it's Keyshawn Washington. KJ Jenkins is a really good running back. I think their best running back. I don't even know if he played tonight, but South Florence was just outmanned. Now South Florence was without 3 running backs. They were hamstrung just a bit. They had to kind of throw it a lot, and their running game was not much. They hit some passes to Jaden Sellers, but not for touchdowns. Just they gained some yards. It's kind of a weird game because it was, a 25-26 point spread, but South Florence in the first 2 drives of the third quarter was ready to pop in touchdowns and turned it over. So it could have been a different game, but I mean, Showville, in my mind, was the better team. Just, it was the score looks like, oh wow, it was a blowout, but Somerville scored. I want to say they scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, 2 in the last couple of minutes. So it looks a little lopsided, but Jaden Cummings did have a hell of a game. He is a fine game manager / quarterback, no doubt.
Well, as Ian said afterwards, I mean, 2-0 is great, long way to go, but that's too impressive. A game and a half, I guess, because they only played a half last week, but they were winning by 2 touchdowns when that game was suspended. Then they beat a very good South Florence team, even though they were without a few of their running backs. Still, that's a quality win. They're off to a great start. Do they have a championship feel to them, or is it too early to see that?
I think they've got a Final 4, Final 6 type team right now. I think they're going to get better as the season goes. Defensively, they got a bunch of new guys on almost the entire, because they moved Jaden Kelly Murray from defense to offense, and that might be the coaching move of the year. Mm-hmm. But and they moved their corner to safety. I mean, they got a lot of new guys on defense, and they're solid, but not a great defense. But I think the personnel is there. They're just going to need to play more. They'll get tested next week at Berkeley with Berkeley's offense. That'll be a good test. I don't think they're going to be undefeated when the playoffs are. I think somebody can get them. But I'm telling you, that offense, if you're going to beat Somerville, you either better have a great defense or you better be able to score in the 30s, because they're going to find a way to score.
Before we get back to reports, let me ask you your thoughts quickly on Oceanside Collegiate. We talked about this game on Sports Talk with you, and I mean, they were playing a loaded football team, and it was a tough week for them with their head coach stepping down, and they go out and win the ball game.
Yeah, things like what happened this week can do one of 2 things. It can destroy a team or it can galvanize a team. And I think this thing galvanized them. They're a good team. Irmo you see what Irmo put 35 on Burns, Irmo put 35 on Oceanside. So Oceanside is not going to lose a lot of games once they get into their 3A schedule and in the playoffs. They're going to be there towards the end. But that's a good win because I'm telling you, I saw a tweet by Andrew Miller that the Blackshear receiver, Blackshear, who's a Georgia commit, Andrew tweeted out, he is the real deal. So they had their hands full, but they buckled up and got the win. And good for John Patterson, good for those kids. But we'll see where it goes from here.
Absolutely. Okay, David, stand by. Let's get a report on the Orangeburg Prep game tonight. Orangeburg Prep. And let's see. Richard Sally is standing by with the story on OP tonight. So let's find out what went on in that Skeeza action. Welcome, Richard. How are you?
Hey, Phil, doing great. Orangeburg Prep defeated Andrew Jackson tonight, 32-14. Andrew Jackson moving up from 8-man to playing 11-man ball this year. Orangeburg scored on the first play of the game, a 60-yard touchdown pass from Braden Gramblin to T. Riley. Walt Mims on the extra point, 7-0. Later in the first quarter, Hunter Judy connected on a 34-yard field goal, making it 10-0 OP. Then still in the first period, Jasiri Parker ran a 10-yard run for a touchdown. T. Riley converted on a mishandled extra point for a 2-point conversion. So it's 18-0 Orangeburg Prep. Finally, in the second quarter, Andrew Jackson gets on the board with a 1-yard run from Hall Cease, and the 2-point conversion by Everett Ulmer made it 18-8 at halftime. Second half scoring was minimal. The only score for Orangeburg Prep in the second half. Hart Wiles caused a fumble in which T. Riley picked up and ran 46 yards for a touchdown. Walt Mims again connected on the extra point and made it 32-8. And then lastly, Hall Cease scored late in the fourth quarter, another 6 points, no good on the extra point to make the final 32-14 Orangeburg Prep or Andrew Jackson.
OP improves to what, record-wise?
1-1. They lost to Wilson Hall 20-17 at Wilson Hall last week. They got a good team.
They do. Very good. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All righty. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Richard Sally with the call on Orangeburg Prep and the report for us here on the high school scoreboard. Going to hit the break. Monty Dutton is standing by to tell us about the bounce-back win for Clinton tonight. That's coming up. More reports, more scores, more David Shelton right here and only here on the Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, full and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the high school football scoreboard. Phil Kornbluth David Shelton, Josh Cohen, and a cast of hundreds, if not thousands. We appreciate all our stations around the state. We appreciate the reporters, the listeners. We appreciate the players, the coaches, the parents, the referees, the concession workers, the police officers, the PA announcers. Don't you love the PA announcers at high school games, David? Hello? Did David fall asleep?
No, I'm in the drive-through at Sonic.
All right. Let's have our priorities in place here.
Coincidentally, this is the second week of the show, and it's the second week that I have been in the drive-through at Sonic when Monty Dutton is about to give his report. So I think we ought to call this the Monty Sonic Dutton report. Because it's funny when I was pulling in when you said we got Monty Dutton coming up, and I was like, that's the second week in a row.
Well, I tell you what, after you get your big greasy hamburger and fries, not that there's nothing wrong with it. I love a Sonic burger, don't get me wrong. But tell the manager, man, hey, I got a great advertising idea for you.
Yeah, I'm just getting a drink, but to answer your question about PA announcers, it's a 50-50 proposition. Some of them are really good and they do it correctly, and some of them are given a play-by-play. Like
those are the ones I love. Those are the ones I love.
No, no, not when you're trying to work, bro. That's not. When now the guys that give you the actual guy who scored the touchdown, they give his name, so if you can't see, you at least know. But sometimes they just go, touchdown, green wave. And I'm waiting, okay, who was that? And they don't say who it was.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's their son.
Because I'm old and I have to use binoculars in the press box now. And sometimes it's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I love it when they work in an advertisement for the concession stand in between plays. There's the tackle by Johnny Smith. And by the way, folks, got some hot coffee for 25 cents at the concession stand. Or whatever it is now.
It's a Bojangles first down.
Yeah, that too. Let's go to Monty Dutton. Monty is no doubt enjoying this little witty repartee that we're having. Check out that word, Monty. I know you're a wordsmith. I am not. Monty Dutton with the story on Clinton and Lawrence. Always, the thing about Clinton, Monty, they kind of remind me of Georgia in that they have more rivals than I think anybody in the state, because they've got They got Woodruff is a big rival, and they've got Lawrence is a big rival, and who else? Others. Newberry's a big rival. Yeah.
Clinton, his first three games are against teams that are less than a half hour away. Anyway, that we can talk about that next week. First of all, I have been called had a lot of nicknames in my distinguished career, but Sonic has before not. And you said that you had a commercial opportunity for David. Hell, it sounds like it's a commercial opportunity for me.
We'll give you a cut.
There's a lot of things that come into play in this game, and I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time. But it was a great bounce back win for Clinton, but in more ways than one, because probably most people in the state know that Clinton had a huge fire that's downtown that destroyed a bunch of businesses on Tuesday, and it's really had a devastating effect on the community. And so it was a nice win for the fans for that. There are not very many people, many schools, particularly at the Class 2A level, who draw like Clinton does. And I would say, and I'm pretty conservative on crowd estimates because I've covered NASCAR for a lot of years, and I've seen a lot of astronomical exaggerations of crowds. But I would think there was about 6,500 tonight for the Lawrence Clinton game. And it's first of all, Clinton won it soundly, but it was 8-7 Lawrence after one quarter. And it's also true that Lawrence had its transfer quarterback, 6'5" Will Thompson, who left the game with shoulder injury in the first half. And even the second string quarterback in the fourth quarter, I understand, suffered a concussion. So instead of saying lost for Lawrence, you look at this, and you look at Lawrence's performance against Hillcrest, you figured Lawrence had very little offense against Hillcrest, but they played really good defense. And so I thought that might be a test. But Clinton was impressive in many ways. They were sort of characteristic of Corey Fountain teams. They had 409 yards, and they had 4 running backs with between 35 and 89 yards. Javen Cook had the 89 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. Tashawn Richardson, who is a fine quarterback for Clinton, and probably he was 4 of 8 for 82 yards. 2 of his passes were for touchdowns to Chris Boyd of 42 and Devin Swindler of 25. And so Clinton more than doubled Lawrence's output. A week ago against Woodruff, Clinton was 3 for 6 in the red zone. They were much more efficient this week. And it was, Corey Fountain has built a great program at Clinton. And even, I think that last week's game was more evidence than Woodruff with a bunch of starters back is really good. And I knew that Clinton had a good team. They played much better defense this week. But as again, Lawrence was greatly hindered. And in fairness to the Raiders, the difficulty for them now is that they have a very tough early season schedule. And I knew before the season that Lawrence would be underdogs in their first 5 games. And so it's a difficult time for Coach Porter and the Raiders. But, he's a good coach, and they'll come around, and I expect they'll make the playoffs in their region. But, as I said, in a way, it's easy to say in hindsight that it was that Clinton's going to bounce back. But it was an impressive victory. But Lawrence had a lot of adversity in the game, and they certainly deserve some sympathy for the difficulty in the game. But Clinton just took it to them tonight. And as I said, the Red Devils will visit Newberry, which is also a good team. And so, and then after that, well, I don't know. Clinton has a game. I think it's Chapman and then Daniel for Clinton. So Clinton will be a force in their region, but they've got some tough games coming up, and that'll probably make them better. And they're the type team they responded really great to adversity, and I expect. One aspect of Clinton, by the way, that 2 years ago when they had the splendid Bryson James playing all over the field on both sides, I used to say that Bryson James was the best player on every field he was on, and he was almost always on the field. But last year, they had a fine rushing team, but they didn't have that. They had the breakaway aspect again tonight, where they just, I used to tell people, there's no need to walk the other end of the field. You'll just stay where you are. There'll be a guy running by you. It was an impressive Lawrence.
Hey, Monty, we're going to have to jump in because you're breaking up, and we're out of time for this segment. But thank you so much, and we're sorry to hear about that terrible fire in downtown Clinton earlier this week. We'll be back, top of the hour break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Tasha Stevens. It's Labor Day weekend, and people are on the move.
San Francisco International Airport spokesperson Doug Yakel says they're hoping to see a return to pre-pandemic levels of travel.
We're expecting about 930,000 people to go through SFO this Labor Day weekend. It's about 8.7% higher than what we saw Labor Day weekend last year. But we're not quite at pre-pandemic levels. We expect this weekend to be at about 90% of what we saw back in 2019.
Yakel recommends getting to the airport early. Travelers should also keep an eye on the weather since it's the leading cause of flight delays. Forecasts call for rain from Texas to New England, plus parts of Florida over the weekend. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A Gold Star mom is defending President Trump over a Democrat-created Arlington National Cemetery controversy. President Trump was criticized by Democrats for taking video at the site, but Kelly Hoover says it was the right thing to do. Hoover said she invited Trump, adding that her son was murdered under the Biden-Harris administration. Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover was killed during the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Neither Biden nor Harris attended the ceremony to honor those who killed. Ukraine's Air Force commander says U.S. officials are looking into the crash of a newly received F-16.
The Air Force chief says that a detailed analysis is already being conducted into why the fighter went down on Monday when Russia launched a major missile and drone barrage. He's directed scathing criticism at unconfirmed claims the fighter jet was brought down by a U.S.-made Patriot air defense missile operated by Ukrainian forces. The crash was the first reported loss of an F-16 in Ukraine, where they arrived at the end of last month. At least 6 of the warplanes are believed to have been delivered by European countries. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. Does it feel like the world is coming apart? It does to me. What do we do as Christians? Do we just sit back and let it happen, just waiting for Christ to return, and we just sit on our hands? No, we don't do that. He's called us to action. He's called us to take the gospel to the ends of the earth, and that's what we do. As Samaritan's Purse we go, and we go in Jesus' name, whether it's with a truck full of shoebox gifts or an army of volunteers ready to help wherever they can, or whether we fill up one of our cargo planes and respond to the far corners of this earth. Wherever there is a need, we go and we help in Jesus' name. Don't just sit back and wait for Jesus to return. You have one life. Make it count.
You can be a part of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth. Find out more about Samaritan's Purse and how you can be involved. Go to SamaritansPurse.org. That's SamaritansPurse.org.
A Brazilian Supreme Court justice orders the suspension of Elon Musk's social media giant X in Brazil.
Justice Alexandre de Moraes warned Musk that failure to name a local legal representative could mean that his platform was blocked. De Moraes is basing his decision on local law requiring foreign companies to have a representative in order to receive notification of court decisions and also to take any requisite legal action. De Moraes' defenders have said that his decisions targeting X have been lawful and that they've served to protect democracy. Musk, on the other hand, has characterized de Moraes as an authoritarian and his claims have been amplified by Brazil's political right. Brazil is an important market for X with tens of millions of regular users and also a potentially huge growth market for Elon Musk's satellite company Starlink.
Authorities are investigating after an Arizona woman was found dead at her job. Police say she clocked into work at Wells Fargo last Friday. News and analysis.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Hey, Donald Trump Jr. here. Central banks are buying gold at record amounts, and the trend is accelerating in 2024. They see the writing on the wall. The dollar is failing. Is gold the answer for you too? To find out, get a free info kit from Birch Gold Group by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust, right now.
Message and data rates may apply.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button.
It's a Friday night of high school football across South Carolina, and this is the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard with Phil Kornblut and David Shelton. We've got you covered with all the scores from tonight, plus game reports and coaches' interviews. The High School Scoreboard is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, your Founders. Let's go to the Scoreboard Studios in Columbia. Here's Phil Kornblut.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2, High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Stay with us. We're going to get through all the scores that have gone final here in just a little bit. We have got a full board of folks waiting to talk to us, so we want to get to them. And David Shelton is finishing up his supersonic burger and his extra large fries and his super extra large sweet tea. So we'll let him digest on that for a moment. We go to the phones, and we are going to be welcoming in to Sports Talk for the first time because this is a brand new school with a brand new program up in the Spartanburg area. Mountain View is the high school. Coach Gray Ramsey is the head coach, and they were big winners tonight. And we welcome Coach to the high school scoreboard for the first time. And congratulations, sir. It's great to have you with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys.
You too, sir. Congratulations on the start of your season. Big win tonight, big offensive night. And what was clicking for you tonight on the offensive side?
Yeah, we had a really good night. Obviously, with us that being our first two games in program history, we're still kind of trying to find our identity. And as we spend more time together, I think every week that we get to spend together, we kind of find out what we really excel at and what's going to be our identity as we move forward. We did a good job tonight compared to last week. We were really successful running the ball, and tonight, based on some of the looks that we saw, we were forced to put the ball in the air. So our quarterback, Bryson Drummond, he had a really good night. Katie Hainsworth out on the outside at wide receiver had a really good connection between those two. So we threw the ball well. That was nice to see. Anytime that you can kind of add some different things to your offense and that you've got some other things that you can go to, it was nice to see. Everything that we're doing right now is new, so every situation that we get into. So just really proud of the guys. We got down 7-0 early, so it was an opportunity for first time in our program to kind of experience some adversity, and we handled it well, and our team bounced back, and we really kind of got the wheels moving in the right direction as we headed into the end of the first half.
Well, it must be a good feeling as a coach with an offense that, one night maybe you got the running game going big and you can depend on that. And like tonight you said you had the passing game going well. Will you typically, week in, week out, will you have that kind of versatility to kind of take what the defense is giving you and take advantage of that?
I hope so. I think that's always a goal as, an offensive coach, and I'm an offensive-minded head coach, so kind of where my background is. And we've been blessed with some really good players. Obviously, Jalen McGill at running back. I think that's kind of where it starts within our offense, and we kind of go into the week deciding how our team's going to play him. And I think in the high school level, you really got to be focused on taking away the run game and forcing high school offenses to beat you through the air. So we know going into it that we've got to continue to develop that side of our offense as we go forward. And it's nice to have guys that are taking that next step forward and taking the leap forward in what they're doing for us. So I hope that if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and over this course of the non-region slate and as we get into a really tough region that we have in this area here that's coached by some really good coaches and, notoriously tradition-rich programs, that we're able to continue to adapt and hopefully we'll have answers for what we see. I think that's the exciting part in this program as we're building it from the ground up is that's the challenge that we face. And we've got to continue to kind of take those baby steps forward every week so that when we get to the games that really matter and hopefully in the playoff time that we're playing our best football. Yeah.
Well, we've heard a lot about McGill. We know he's something special, a special talent. What kind of night did he have tonight?
He had a great night. We're trying to do some different things with him. Obviously, his running back abilities, I think, speak for himself. But for him and being able to showcase what he can truly do, we moved him around. He scored a touchdown tonight from the outside at the wide receiver spot. So, we're trying to get him involved in the screen game. We're trying to put him in different formations and into different schemes that really showcase what he can do as an overall football player. I think he has some lofty goals. Obviously, he has some really good offers. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to go and play at the next level to his choosing. And, his mindset is he wants to prove that he's the best. And when you compete at that kind of level, when you're talking about those kind of schools, it's important to be able to showcase that you're an overall back. And he definitely did that tonight. We moved him into different roles in the slot. He serves as lead blocker sometimes, screen game, singled out wide at wide receiver. We're going to try to utilize him in a lot of different ways. So trying to expand what he does and trying to expand, what his playbook looks like and how we can get the ball to him in space. And, 2 or 3 times a night, some of the big plays that we had in the passing game were him serving as decoys, whether it was him in the backfield off play actions, whether it was us putting him in motion and knowing that we were going to get a certain look. So he serves a lot of different purposes. He's an extremely talented young man. He's a great kid. He loves He loves to study different things. He embraces the challenges that we've had. So just really blessed to have a type of kid like that. Anytime your best player is your best kid, sometimes I think that's what every coach's dream is.
David Shelton, got a quick question for the coach?
Yeah, Greg, I'm just wondering, you came from a really good program, so you obviously learned under some good dudes. What were some of the things, starting a program from scratch is not like inheriting a team that's got, 17 starters returning.
Sure.
You had 0 returning starters. So
yes, sir.
What have you learned? I mean, what were you able to learn through your connections and through the people that you worked for that have helped you in this process?
Yeah, absolutely. I was very blessed and fortunate. This is my 11th year. So for the previous 10, I spent 6 of my first years at Chapman High School and the past 4 at Spartanburg High School. So obviously that was under Coach Hodge. And we had a lot of success at Chapman, multiple state championships, and then being able to go to Spartanburg and really kind of bring back that tradition that is at Spartanburg. Just really thankful for that opportunity. But when you look at the foundations of those programs and the basis of those programs that I was a part of, it really goes into, kind of focusing on what's outside the football field. I think, a lot of the emphasis gets placed on the X's and O's and what a scoreboard result may say on a Friday night. But you don't get those great results if you're not grooming the kids in every aspect of their lives. So, I'm very thankful that I've been able to learn under that type of leadership. I've had some great administration at both places. And so the basis of our program is to really try to help these kids that, I know this sounds a little ironic coming from a football coach, but the result of a scoreboard is really kind of irrelevant sometimes. I'm really worried about the type of person that they are. How are they growing in the classroom? How are they growing socially, emotionally, spiritually, in every regard of their lives? So I think that, the benefit that I do have as the football coach of that is that when the emphasis is placed on those things, I think the scoreboard typically reflects that, which is nice for them to see. I think it gives them some motivation, but just been really thankful. I've worked with some really great coaches, and obviously with Coach Hodge being the leader of that program and spending 10 years around him and the success that we've had. A lot of things that we did there, I'm trying to implement here from the ground up. It's been fun for me to kind of go back through that process. We've been so far ahead into that process, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, looking back and seeing what does that look like at the very beginning and trying to go back and find those answers of how do you get to that point.
Well, you're off to a great start. We appreciate you visiting with us. We'll keep in touch, keep a close watch on you as you step it up in competition, the games ahead. Good luck to you, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys, and thank you for what you do for high school football and exposure that you create. Really appreciate you guys, and thank you for your time tonight.
Well, thank you for what you do as a coach and giving your life to these kids. We appreciate that. Coach Gray Ramsey from Mountain View Prep. Okay, let's go quickly. A lot of folks standing by, and we thank you. We appreciate you guys. Let's go to next up, Matt Smith, the voice of the Socastee Braves, taking on those nasty cats from Dillon tonight, the Dillon Wildcats. Smitty, what's going on?
Well, the game, unfortunately for Socastee, played almost out as we expected it to. Socastee did score first, touchdown pass from Christian Royals to Jonathan Goswick, a name I mentioned last week. And for the second week in a row, Royals was forced to come off for at least a portion of the game, and Goswick took over at quarterback. He caught the first touchdown pass and played the whole game on defense as well. But then after that 7-0 lead, the Dillon Wildcats did Dillon Wildcat things, which was just really lean on Socastee with that really good offensive line and a lot of talent, especially at the running back position. Ramon Hamilton, the quarterback for Dillon, was the reigning 3A Lower State Offensive Player of the Week. He was good. He was certainly good tonight, managing the game, moving the chains with both his legs and his arm, and finding a lot of different receivers, especially Robertson, who had more than 100 yards receiving last week and had another good night tonight. But he was not the big star tonight. Neither was Jamarian Fling, who had over 100 yards last week. is Mr. Do Everything for Dillon. If you go to a Dillon Wildcats game, you're going to see Jamarian Fling. He returns punts, returns kicks, holds on extra points, and is the starting running back and cornerback. I don't know that he leaves the field the whole game. But the real star tonight, Dominic Felton, the backup running back for Dillon, caught Socastee off guard. 7 carries, 137 yards, and a touchdown in the first half. The second half, he added more yardage, played sparingly as Dillon really just leaned on Socastee and ran the clock out. As I said, doing Dillon Wildcat things. But he's a name to remember. He's the reserve. But Dominic Felton, I'll give you 2 players you'll remember, Corn, that he really reminded me of. If you're a Gamecock fan, it was Corey Boyd. And if you're a Clemson fan, it was Wayne Gallman. Dominic Felton tonight ran angry. He just refused to go down, which is what led to that big yardage and why Dillon came away with another victory. And for the second week in a row, Socastee committed a lot of penalties, committed some costly turnovers, had a punt block, and did everything they could to shoot themselves on the foot. If you could see the game and you could carve out 8-10 plays, you would think that Socastee has the makings of a good football team, but they just continue to shoot themselves in the foot and move backwards at the most inopportune times. So they're 0-2. Dillon is 2-0. Socastee is on the road the next 2 weeks. They've got Ainer next week and Stratford in 2 weeks, and they're still searching for their first win.
Give me that final once again.
27-7, Dillon. 7-0 lead for Socastee in the first quarter, but then it was 27 unanswered for Dillon after that.
All right, Smitty. We thank you. Join David Shelton at your nearest Sonics and have yourself a burger and a Coke.
I heard all about it. The Sonic Mining Burger. I'll be ordering it. Absolutely at my next opportunity. And go ahead and tell David, like him, I watch most of the game through binoculars these days.
All right, Smitty. Enjoy the Gamecock game tomorrow. Smitty will be covering that for SportsTalkSC.com. Thank you, friend. Okay, a break is coming up. We got reports coming up as well on the Newberry game and the Orangeburg-Wilkinson game. More from David Shelton. Going to go back over these final scores for you as we get them lined up, and hopefully more reports, maybe another coach or two. We'll be back. High School Scoreboard, Founders, Federal Credit Union.
Founders Federal Credit Union believes in empowering future generations, helping to provide our youth smart as they begin their financial journey. Discover Smart Start by Founders. Start off with Smart Start savings with a low minimum balance of just $5. Teach responsible spending with a free debit card, text alerts, and no minimum balance. Jumpstart a lifetime of saving and investing with a Smart Start 12-month certificate featuring flexible deposits. Start with just $100 and add more deposits at any time. Finally, dive in deeper with fun educational resources. Founders is excited to team up with you with resources and support to give our youth a smart start towards a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Conditions apply.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
Okay, we're back on the high school football scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Check in with David Shelton. Make sure he's still good and with us tonight. David, thoughts on anything you've heard here in the last few minutes?
Okay, I just want to clarify one thing. All I got was an unsweet tea. I did not get a burger and fries and all that mess. But, you know, sometimes your exaggerations get me in a lot of trouble.
I'm sorry.
If my doctor listens to the Scoreboard show and he heard you say that, I would get a text message during the show.
Uh-huh.
But from what I've heard, you know, no major news. I mean, I think everything is went about as the one score you gave about Ashley Ridge and Cane Bay. I heard a halftime score where Cane Bay was wearing Ashley Ridge out, and so I'm not saying that Ashley Ridge didn't come back, but I think it was a two touchdowns or 17-point lead for Cane Bay at halftime. And then I heard you give the final, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we rely on ScoreStream, and I mean, I think they're probably 90%, 95%, but you hate to not be 100% because of how that works. But we've got a final of 42-29 on that right now.
Very well could be, but I'm gonna call during the break. I'm gonna text somebody that I know is at the game and see if they got that could be the final, but I just want to make sure.
Okay. Let's get back to reporters, and we thank everybody for being patient as we go to Willie Johnson, who watched the Orangeburg-Wilkinson Bruins tonight, and they had a big night offensively, putting 56 on the board against Hemingway, and great defensive night with a shutout. Hello, Willie.
Hey, Phil, how's it going? The legend of sports talk radio on the South Carolina Sports Media Network, my friend. Good to hear you once again. I know it's been a long time since we've been talking, and yes, you're right. It was a big night for Orangeburg Wilkinson. Last week they set it off against the Cavaliers of Anderson and came away with a 48-0 win. This week they come away with a 56-0 win over the Hemingway High School Tigers out of Williamsburg County, South Carolina. Their next game is a huge matchup near the airport. It's a familiar foe to me because I've known them a long time. It's the Bruins and Airport Eagles, a matchup that hasn't been played in so many years. And it's going to be a big matchup. It's one or two big matchups against teams from the metro area. Of course, in 2 weeks, we have the Raiders of Keenan High School coming up against us, the Raiders of William Jefferson Keenan High School, by the way. Can't wait to hear from them, but we got to take it one at a time. Look out, Eagles. We coming for you. And by the way, please lose those Dallas Cowboy logos on the helmet.
There you go. Real quick, this OW team, they've scored a lot of points in the first two games now. Is that a true identification of this offense, a high-scoring, powerful offense?
Well, I wouldn't definitely buy into that. The thing is, you're playing against teams that are, less than average, and I'm not trying to call them mediocre or anything silly like that, but, these are just, it's early in the football season. We got some big ones coming up. In fact, the next 3 games, 2 or 3 games is going to be big one. Of course, I mentioned Keenan in a couple of weeks, and we got Airport next week. And, of course, in between that, we go down Howard 301 south to the town of Cordova to take on the Edisto Cougars. We know they're struggling, but, as we say, take the game one at a time.
That's all you can do. Willie, thank you very much. We'll look for you next week. Good hearing from you.
That's right. From one Green Bay Packer fan to a Steeler fan. Only 2 great NFL teams. Not that one from Dallas, Texas.
No. Dirt-licking Cowboys. Got no time for them. And we showed them in the playoffs. Thank you, Willie. Appreciate it. Let's go to Hugh Gray on Newberry High School tonight. The Bulldogs, another win for them. They're off to a 2-0 start. Hugh, welcome in. How are you?
Thank you, Phil. Doing well. Hope you are too.
Yes, sir.
This was a 6-0 game halfway through the second quarter, but then Newberry kind of broke it open and was up 26-0 at the half. Scored a couple more times in the second half, and the final was 43-0. So Newberry keeps the Hedge Path trophy for another year. Unlike last week, though, when most of Newberry's scores were through the air, 5 of the 6 touchdowns tonight were from the running game, and B.J. Jones had 3 of those. Newberry's offense was really balanced tonight, 136 yards on the ground, 138 yards through the air. But the big stat of the night probably came from Newberry's defense, put the 0 on the scoreboard and a 0 in the stat book, meaning they held Mid-Carolina to 0 total yards of offense. So now the Dogs getting ready for the Battle of the Belt rivalry game with Clinton next week.
Oh, another big rivalry game with Clinton. We talked about how many rivals they have, but a good start for Newberry. And, Hugh, we thank you. We'll hear from you next week.
Yeah, yep, look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. You and Monty can arm wrestle to see who calls in, or both of you can call in. That'll be just fine. Let's go quickly. Garrett Mitchell. Tonight, watching the Fountain Inn team, Fountain Inn, playing, is this a Woodruff game? Woodruff and Fountain Inn tonight. Let me pull up my scoreboard here. Yes, it is. And we need a score on that. So, good to have Garrett with us. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, Phil. How about yourself?
Doing fine. Doing fine. What you got?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was, I don't know that Woodruff fans can take too much of this cardiac nonsense that we've had the last 2 weeks, but the Wolverines came away with a 30-27 victory over Fountain Inn's a very much improved team in their third varsity season, and they finally got seniors. They've got 18 of them, and some of these kids are pretty darn talented. But the Wolverines kicked a 34-yard field goal as time expired, and they came away with a 30-27 win.
How about that? Who kicked it?
So the Woodruff kicker, he's a junior. His name is Josh Ruiz. And it's kind of funny, his older brother's on the team as well. His older brother's the starting right guard. And a bit of contrast with these two young men. Josh is 6'3" and weighs about 170 pounds. His brother on the offensive line is 6'2" and weighs 300. So a little bit of a contrast right there. But Josh is he's a 3-year starter. He started at kicker since his freshman year, and this young man's got a big leg. And when Woodruff was able to drive it inside the 25-yard line in the final 30 seconds, I think everybody knew that if he got a shot, then it was going to have a chance to go in. But it was a great game. Woodruff actually jumped out 20-0 midway through the second quarter. You kind of were worried about a hangover after the emotional win against Clinton last week. Didn't seem to be heading in that direction, but Fountain Inn was able to get a touchdown and a field goal right before half. It was a 20-10 game. They never were able to take the lead. They cut it to 3 several times. They kicked a field goal with roughly 1 minute and 55 seconds to play. That tied the game at 27, and Woodruff's final drive got them down to the to a 16-yard line or 17-yard line, wound up a 34-yard field goal, and Wolverines are 2-0. Hey, we'll take it.
You got it. You took it, and you got it. And we thank you, and we'll look for you next week. Thank you very much. Garrett Mitchell with the story on the Woodruff Wolverines. Big win. Hit the break. We got more reports coming up, more calls, more from David Shelton, and more scores as well. We'll be back.
This is Ian with AccuClean. With fall quickly approaching, AccuClean knows that it can be all too easy for kids and pets to track in mud, grass, and leaves. Luckily, we know the solution. Now is the perfect time to get your carpets, rugs, and upholstery cleaned as it extends the freshness and life. AccuClean is a veteran-owned and local carpet cleaning company located in the Midlands for over 20 years. Be sure to give us a call at AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 to make sure your carpets are refreshed approaching this season. That's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. We'll see you soon.
7 locations in the Midlands. Groucho's Deli has been crafting award-winning culinary delights for over 80 years. Bite into the legendary STP Dipper or Apollo and let the unique flavors of My Wife's Salad dressed in our famous Formula 45 sauce enchant you. Don't just dream about it. Taste the hashtag Groucho's goodness today. Whether you're looking for comfort at your doorstep or a cozy corner in our deli, we're always just a click or a step away. Groucho's Deli, your neighborhood deli. Taste the good at Grouchos.com.
With SRN News, I'm Tasha Stevens. The San Diego doctor arrested for helping supply ketamine to actor Matthew Perry before his overdose death will plead guilty in the case. Dr. Mark Chavez has agreed to enter a guilty on one count of conspiracy and surrender his medical license. It's for his part in the drug ring that led to Perry's death. Chavez admitted to diverting ketamine from his clinic in San Diego, lying to a distributor, and filling out a fake prescription before selling the drug to a doctor in Los Angeles. Lawyers for Brian Kohberger are citing what they say is a mob mentality for their justification for asking the judge to grant a change of venue for his murder trial scheduled for next June. Kohberger has been charged with 4 counts of murder for the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students in 2022. Kohberger pled not guilty last year. This is SRN News.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Summer brings a little bit of everything. Vacations, cookouts, hurricanes, and yeah, fly-by-night storm chasers beating on your door. But fear not, it also brings emails, like the one Bergen Roofing got from Stephen and Wanda. Quote, I can't say enough good things about our experience with your company and staff for our roofing needs. The professional, punctual, and polite staff that you sent to our home in Lexington for the installation of a new roof made us realize we made the right choice selecting Bergen Roofing. The crew always made certain before they left for the day the lawn was cleaned up, and when the job was complete, your staff made certain our lawn was cleaned up thoroughly to our satisfaction. We would highly recommend and would gladly serve as a reference for your company. Our new roof looks great. We're so glad we selected Bergen Roofing for our new roof installation. Friends, take it from your neighbors, like Stephen and Wanda. When I talk about Bergen Roofing being your neighborhood roofer, truly are. If you find yourself in need of a roofer, and Bergen hopes you don't, but if you do, call Bergen Roofing today, 798-ROOF. That's 798-ROOF.
Someone will be right with you. Please continue to hold. The Point.
And we're back on the high school scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Phil Kornblut, David Shelton, Josh Cohen back at our Columbia studios. Let me throw a few more finals out here that I might not have touched on to this point. Lexington beats North Augusta 20-19. Irmo finalizes the win over Burns 35-27. Dutch Fork finishes off Spartanburg 24-7. Chapin over AC Flora 62-21. A few other finals, and we're going to try and get through all of these one more time before we sign off. Blue Ridge 21-14 over Wade Hampton. Hanahan 20-17 over Wando. May River 28, West Ashley 21. Travelers Rest 131, Emerald 3. Now, David, that's what it says on the score stream, 131-3. I'm not believing it, but they haven't changed it.
There's no way that happened.
No, I'm just telling you, that's on the stream, 131-3. Liberty 34, Southside 14, Wren 55, Easley 7. Landrum late over Berea 46-6. That may have gone final. Belton Honeypath 37-7 over Greer. Walhalla 49-16 over Pickens. Camden beat Lugoff Elgin 31-13. Dreer 33. Cardinal Newman 13. And late Gilbert leading Wilson 28-18. That may have gone final as well. So we go back to our callers, and let's go to Max Arnage from Loco Sports down in the Low Country area of South Carolina, that Beaufort, Hilton Head, Ridgeland, Hardyville area, all down in there covering high school sports. They do a fantastic job. We appreciate Max joining us to kind of fill us in on the action down there tonight. How are you, Max?
Hey, I'm doing good. Great to be on the show for the first time. Excited to talk with you fellas.
You too, man. Thank you for joining us. So if you would kind of just take us around your area, hit us up with a couple of the highlights, the standout performances or games in your mind tonight.
Yeah, Greenwood High School traveled down to Ladies Island to play Beaufort High School to start off their season. Good game going into halftime. 7-6 game in favor of Greenwood, and then Greenwood just opened up the scoring in the second half. Taking the win 37-18 over Beaufort High School. So a great way to start for Greenwood. Another 5A school, James Island High School. They traveled down to Hilton Head High School, take on the Seahawks of Hilton Head High. James Island just absolutely dominating the game on both sides of the ball. They would win the game 21-0 over Hilton Head. May River, this was a surprise for us here in the Loco. May River traveled up to play West Ashley High School, another 5A school in South Carolina, and May River would get the win over West Ashley, 28-21. Impressive win for May River. We weren't sure what to expect out of May River this season, but it's a plus for us here in the Loco area to see May River get a huge win over a team that dominated them last season. So a great win for the Sharks of May River. Hampton County, the number one team in polling for 2A, would play Allendale Fairfax. They won easily 33-0. Bluffton High School, which is one of the teams we've been keeping an eye on as the season has continued, they went up to play at Andrew Jackson High School. They'd easily get the win 35-13. Whale Branch, after coming off a loss to that same Bluffton High School team, they played Hardyville, and Hardyville High School's first football game on their home turf in 12 years, which is a big deal for Hardyville, and glad to see them on the field. But unfortunately, it wouldn't go their way tonight as Whale Branch came out and played angry. They won 42-0. And then if you go over to the Skeeza side of things, my alma mater, Hilton Head Christian Academy, took on the defending state champions from Skeeza 2A, Bethesda Academy. Hilton Head Christian Academy, the defending 3A state champions, they would end up getting the win there, 34-14. And that's really the highlight scores there. For me tonight, I was in Walterboro to watch Thomas Hayward take on a deep Loco sports rivalry against Carlton Prep. Thomas Hayward's star player of the night for me was the big dog, Mr. Tony O'Banner, the 6 foot, 215-pound junior running back, 4 rushing touchdowns. And Thomas Hayward would end up getting the win 33-0 over Carlton Prep. So those are most of the scores from the Southern Lowcountry area. But a great night here for Loco Sports, and we always have our live show going during the game. So for those of you who want to keep track of the Southern Lowcountry area, be sure to hit us up on YouTube. We're always there Friday nights for the Loco Pigskin Live.
That is awesome. And I've heard a lot about that O'Banner kid at Thomas Hayward. He's the real deal?
Oh, he's the real deal, man. That dude, Carlton Prep could not stop him. He was just running over Carlton Prep, literally running over Carlton Prep. and it was really fun to see. And this Thomas Hayward team is definitely the favorites in the Skeeza 1A.
Okay, let me ask you real quick if you happen to recall, because I'm trying to finish out the scores here. Did you have a score on Battery Creek and John Paul II tonight?
Yes, I did. Battery Creek took the win 41-26 over John Paul II.
Excellent.
So their first win under their new head coach, Ed Suzy.
Does Colleton County fall under your umbrella?
It does, but we did not have a score. We could not find one. We had a halftime score. Colleton County was down to Woodland High School. I believe it was a close 7-point game at halftime, but we never got a score after that.
All right, I'll keep looking. Hey, it was great having you with us. Let's do this every Friday, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Hey, Max, thank you, and great job. And hope folks will tune in and watch you guys, and keep in touch, and we'll talk to you next Friday night when you're finished up.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Go Loco.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I love that. Appreciate it. David, I was going to ask you here, so we had Hardeeville and we had Ridgeland, then we had Hardeeville, Ridgeland, and now we've gone back to separate Hardeeville and Ridgeland high schools, right?
Yeah. It's like it's like the ADHD of high school football. I don't know why things happen the way they do down there, but yeah, to answer your question, yes. And it was the most confusing thing last year that I could not figure out, but but I had a whole off season to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, big night for them being back on their own turf, hosting a football game. Let's go to Chris Deering from SC Prep Red Zone joining us, and he was on hand to watch Westwood tonight, Westwood and Lakewood, and he's going to give us a story on this one. Westwood wins it 36-0. Good evening, Mr. Deering. How are you?
Well, Mr. Cornbloop, I was at Richland Northeast and Crestwood.
Okay,
So
I didn't miss it by much.
I have a 36. Yeah, you didn't miss it by much, and the final score was RNE 36, Crestwood 32.
Much better game. You picked the better game there for sure. Give us the details. Give us the details.
But it was the Will Wilson show, and I don't know that comes as a surprise to a lot of people. The North Carolina State quarterback commit for RNE. He threw for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns and ran for 205 yards and 2 more touchdowns. But it was really a strong comeback by the Cavaliers to get the win. They were down 32-22 with just over 2 minutes to go. Wilson goes down and throws a 21-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Huey, and that makes it 32-28 with a minute 43 to go. RNE gets the onside kick after being called. They're called offsides 3 times in a row where they didn't get the onside kick, and then they finally got it and got it at the 40-yard line and still had all 3 timeouts and no panic, no hesitation. Wilson leads them down the field and hits Blake Bennett on a 9-yard touchdown pass with 20 seconds to go. And RNE escapes with a big non-region win.
Wow. How many times did it take him to kick that onside kick and recover it? You said the 4th time?
They kicked it 3 times, but they were offsides each time, and Crestwood didn't have an opportunity to not take the penalty. It was automatic because it was before the kick. Mm-hmm. So they got backed up, and finally on the 4th time they stayed onside and they got the onside kick.
Wow. Hey, they're off to a 2-0 start. They beat Spring Valley. Now they beat Crestwood. And you're right, Wilson gives them a chance against most everybody, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. I like his composure tonight. He's got some really good receivers. He's got 2 guys on the outside, and Huey and Bennett that can go get the football. And they're going to be a team that, there's probably going to be a lot of shootouts. They got some holes defensively, but as long as you got Wilson on that with football in his hands, you got a chance to win some football games. Walt Wilson's done it for a long time. His dad is the coach over there. He's done it for a long time in this state. He was Alshon Jeffrey's coach at Calhoun County, and he knows how to win. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do the rest of this year. They got a Westwood team next week that's sort of reeling in the early going, so they got a chance really to start out 3-0.
Okay, my friend. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to you next week. Chris Deering from Prep Red Zone, South Carolina. You can read all his great stuff there and the great work that they do. Got so many great high school writers around this state and various organizations covering high school football in the state, David. And love them all. Love the work that all you guys do.
The more the merrier, because it helps these kids.
Y'all should have a convention one day and, maybe drink heavily or something. Drink milk heavily.
Oh, yeah, chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. Drink it heavily. Okay, before we go to the break, let's go to Chris Martin. Chris Martin with the Strom-Thurmond game tonight. We mentioned earlier that was going to be – it's always a big one when Silver Bluff, Strom-Thurmond get together. Chris, thank you for joining us. What's the story of your game?
All right. Thank you for having me. And you're right. When these two teams get together, it is always a good one. They're not that far apart, and both teams travel well. So the stadium there in Petticoat Junction, the Silver Bluff, it was packed on both sides. Weather was decent. It was a little muggy in the beginning, but Strom-Thurmond comes away with the win, 33-12. And they did it behind their strong running game. I've watched this team play. This was my first time watching them play this year. They have a huge offensive line, and then to back that up, they have two really strong running backs, Cam Black and Deontay Phillips, that they just ride those guys, to victories. Last week, they beat McCormick 46-6, using those two guys thoroughly throughout the game. And this game here, even though it's 33-12, it doesn't indicate really how competitive it was. In the beginning, it was really a defensive struggle. The first score in the game came from a safety that Strom-Thurmond caused for Silver Bluff by pushing them back. There was 3 consecutive plays where they received penalties, backed them up, and then finally Strom-Thurmond was able to sack the quarterback in the end zone to score there. But then after that, things just kind of was a defensive struggle all the way up until about halftime. It was 16-0 for Strom-Thurmond. But in that third quarter, coming out right at the beginning of the second half, I really would say it belonged to Silver Bluff. They had lots of opportunities. They just weren't able to generate enough offense. But they did come back in that third quarter. They scored on a really long return to get them in good scoring position. They got a touchdown by Draylon Brown to make it 16-6. Strom-Thurmond comes back and scores a field goal. So you really started to feel like Silver Bluff had a chance to get back in this game. They came back. They gave up a score, though, to Strom-Thurmond's Cam Black. That running back, that combination of him and Deontay Phillips was just overpowered them as time went on. They did have a spectacular play with a 57-yard run by Draylon Brown for Silver Bluff to make it 26-12. But in the end, it was just too many penalties, and the defense just could not get Strom-Thurmond off the field in order to give that offense a chance to get back in the game. Otherwise than that, it was a really competitive game and a great crowd.
Sounds like it. You know that. They always pack it. And we thank you, and we'll hear from you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Good hearing from you. Okay, Chris Martin, great job. Story there on Strom-Thurmond's win tonight. Travis Jenkins is standing by. We'll catch him up in just a moment. Try and dive into some more of these final scores for you. Riverside beat Greenville 48-26. Belton Honeypath over Greer 33-7. Hillcrest beat Clover 55-20. Back in a moment.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our special. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, tickets, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Founders Federal High School Scoreboard rolls on. We've got more scores to update along with reports and interviews. Now, back to Phil and David on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Let's quickly go to our good buddy Travis Jenkins up in Chester and Fort Mill tonight. And Travis, good to have you with us. How are you?
Phil, actually I went to Louisville HKT, and it's a good thing I did because Fort Mill and Chester's game has been not just postponed, canceled. Because of the weather.
Gotcha.
It apparently rained. It rained so hard they had water building up under the turf at Fort Mill, I was told.
Yee. That's icky. What about Louisville HKT? And I saw that score earlier, and looks like Louisville, the Lions, picked up a nice win.
Yeah, they did. First of all, Phil, if I told you I was at a 1A stadium and they lacked one of the two following amenities, field turf or a scoreboard, which one would you think?
I would say they would lack the field turf, that they'd be playing on natural grass.
Yeah. HKT has field turf. They don't have a scoreboard.
Okay.
Apparently bought a new one. It's on back order. They already took the old one down, so no clock, no scoreboard tonight. Louisville did win 44-16.
How do we know that they actually won if there was no scoreboard?
That's a really good question. We'll have to check with Jerome. I don't know if that counts or not.
Yeah, really.
Close game early. HKT got a pick six. They were up 8-0, I think, going into the second. What really happened is a couple of things. One, HKT, their secondary had a really tough time keeping up with Louisville's receivers. They did a good job when Louisville was early trying to go with a shorter screen game. When they started to take some shots downfield, they couldn't keep. Louisville's got four or five guys, the Adrian Robinson, Davis Harris, two of those. They had 4 touchdowns between them. Zach Rogers threw 4. And then in the second half, what happened is what's going to happen to a lot of 1A teams when they play Louisville is that the Lions have like uncommon depth for 1A, which is a big leg up in that classification. And they just kind of wore them down, and they were able to run the ball in the second half.
Sounds to me like Louisville is going to be a handful. Did I read a story, one of your stories about new coach or something that they did in the offseason? Am I correct on that?
Yeah. Leon Boulware left to take the job at Lugoff, and Trent Usher, who formerly was the head coach at Pageland, had been their defensive coordinator the last 2 years. He was elevated to head coach, and he's off to a 2-0 start. New quarterback too. Their starter the last 2 years transferred out. Zach Rogers stepped in. He's kind of one of those dudes that just like wherever he plays, he's going to be fine. Receiver, running back, safety, kick returner, quarterback. He's done all that. Has 6 touchdown passes through 2 weeks, and he's only going to get better because he hadn't played the position since 9th grade.
Well, we thank you for the reports, and hopefully next week you'll find a place that has a scoreboard so you can actually know who won the ball game.
That would be awesome. Here's hoping.
Thank you. Good
Thanks,
hearing
Phil.
from you. Thank you, Travis. We appreciate you. Very quickly, time is short. Looks like Thomas Grant is going to have the honor of the last report of the night. Thomas, we got about 2.5 minutes, but you saw a great one tonight between Lexington and North Augusta, with Lexington pulling it out 20-19.
Yeah, it was a game where it really came down to one in terms of a decision made by Coach Curtis, and then also the final play of the game, which came down to a 4-for-1. But before it got there, I mean, it was predicted this was a hard-hitting game. These are two teams that are very physical, particularly up front. I mean, North Augusta's front guys with guys like DeAndre Basket, Davion McInnes, Simeon Jones. These guys average about 6 feet and 280, and they are really hard to move off the line of scrimmage. And plus, they have their two playmakers in the backfield with Tillman at quarterback and also Michael Goh, who played a big role in this game tonight. On the flip side, you had Lexington with their all-sports night guy and Matt McCarry, who had a touchdown tonight. But it was really also their play on special teams that made a difference. They had the first field goal of the night for Gavin Colbert ever set up by one or two block punts. But still, Lexington trailed 7-3 at halftime on the first and 2 touchdowns for Michael Goh. In the second half, Lexington scored 17 on 10 points as Brendan, their sophomore quarterback, and starter, Brendan Carter, began to find the rhythm. He was able to get 2 touchdowns, one to McCauley and on a run, and then the second one he did by himself on probably one of the plays of the night where he basically shook away from 2 defenders in between them to score on a 6-yard touchdown run to go up 20-7. And then in the fourth quarter, it was basically all Michael Goh, where they're out of the Wildcat, where they basically ran 2 Wildcat plays where he ended up scoring touchdowns to cut that lead. But on each of the 2 touchdowns, the PAT failed. The first one failed on a missed wide right, and then the second one was made in 2019 on the play after the touchdown. Bill was called for the second celebration, which resulted in a penalty. And rather than take the penalty on the kickoff, Coach Curtis decided to have it enforced on the extra point, which made it a 35-yarder, and he already had a kicker who was already shook for missing the last PAT. And sure enough, this ball didn't even get past the line of scrimmage. So, but eventually, once again, North Augusta was able to force Lexington to punt with less than 3 minutes left, and then facing a 4th and 16, Tillman launches a bomb to hit Florian Maybrick for a first down. They ended up getting 2 Wildcat runs by Joe to get to the 1-yard line. They had to take down the ball on 3rd down, so it was 4th down with 9.5 seconds left. And they decided to try to run in one more time with the Wildcat kind of like formation, but this time Lexington jumped all over it and ended up stopping them for a loss to end the game with 3.9 left.
So stopped him at the 1-yard line at the very end. Wow. Hey, Thomas, we got to go, but thank you, man. Great job, great report. Thomas from the Prep Red Zone, South Carolina. Thank you, Thomas. David Shelton, we gave you an easy night tonight. Final thoughts, 10 seconds.
It was a great night.
It was a great night. Thank you, David. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody that makes high school football possible. See you next week.